Here's how Wispr Flow can 2x their creative-led growth. I analyzed 126 ads of Wispr Flow and also deconstructed 1025 reviews to understand what some of the biggest opportunities are that can unlock their growth through ad creatives. Now, if you're not familiar with them, Wispr Flow is one of the buzziest products around. I myself am a power user. I've used them for well over a year. They're running ads quite aggressively, and they're growing very, very aggressively. And one of the reasons I am putting this together is because I like their product. I am a very heavy user and I want them to do well. So let's get into some of the things they're doing well and some of the opportunities I see for them in growing through ads. So this is a creative audit. I've reviewed about 100 plus ads from the Meta ad library and done a deep dive of 126 of them through our internal agent called Brute Force AI, and I've cross-referenced the learnings with 1025 ad reviews. The TLDR is that they test a lot of new ideas at the expense of building on the learnings that they already have from their winners. And I'm going to share a plan that outlines what I would do if I were managing their creative strategy. So let's get into what their top performing ads are. These are the top ads by impressions. Now, this is a static ad, one voice, every AI in 2 different sizes. The third one is a founder testimonial. The fourth one is a faceless ad that shows the product being used. Number 5, again, is a founder testimonial from an immigrant's perspective, which I would imagine is one of their biggest target markets. Number 6 is somewhat surprisingly, it's a YouTube video that's been sliced. It's not very well produced, somewhat surprised that it is among the ads in its raw form, but there it is. 7 is again a faceless ad. Number 8 is user testimonial as well, where you contrast it with typing. Okay, so these are the top ads. As you can see, some of the big pillars here seem to be user testimonials, faceless ad that actually shows the product in use, and then the static. Here's what they do really well so far. Number 1, they test every week. They have 50 plus ads going in. They kill often. Most of ads get stopped within three days. They talk about proof. They talk about the contrast with typing, and they show a lot of workflow native demos. How do you dictate into Claude GPT AI native workflows, basically. Let's look at how they actually do their testing process every week. And, I deconstructed the 50 ads that went into testing. And they had 50 ads, out of which 31 were distinct, 21 videos, 10 images. These were the 7 lanes of the ads that they had, right? Number 1 would be prompting and input for every AI, but these are static ads, image ads. And as you can see here, a lot of these sound very slogan-y. They are beautiful. They are slogan-led. They're not really user-led. And I'm going to talk about what that means and how I would suggest remedy that. But I can tell you what that means. And what that means is it isn't talking about a user's lived experience and problems. For instance, I could say something like, hey, are you tired of an AI mangling your name? If your name is Venkataramanan or, Konstantin, an AI is going to mangle your name. Are you tired of that? Are you tired of AI not catching your corrections, right? So that's the kind of lived experience of a user that they're missing, that I think they should really catch, rather than do slogans, which look great on a brand deck, but don't really speak to users. Yeah, and again, these are other ads which highlight prompting and input for every AI. The next one would be Claude workflows, but also that show actual user experiences, not just statics. These are first-person user experiences where someone's talking to the camera, talking about how they use Claude, including the founder. This is a slice from a founder's interview, and you can see here examples of how they show the app being used in an actual workflow, right? And some of these, as I said, are slices from the interviews. And again, this is something they could actually do using creators or faceless AI creator videos. that would be much, much more powerful here. The third one is sales and outreach. This is a very specific use case because they've clearly identified that salespeople are among their biggest target markets. So they reach out to sales or outreach folks. They also talk to creators, and I've done creator outreach. I've included creator outreach focused ads in here as well. The next big pillar is work skits or first person funny/humorous UGC videos. The skit is basically the second one, basically that shows two developers, and third one is basically someone's in a cab talking to a cab driver, or the fourth one is also, me when I'm late for work. So these are funny, humorous, creator style videos. Last pillar is coding/building. These are directly developer targeted ads. The last pillar is, a comparison, which is voice dictation versus Wispr Flow, and normal voice dictation. And again, this is something I think they should lean into much, much more. And I'm going to talk about the enemy, dream, and bridge framework. Really, this is the enemy, right? Voice dictation can get things wrong, and really talking about how it messes up so often and how Wispr can do better is such a huge opportunity. And there are other videos, and I also noticed these seem to be targeted primarily at the Indian market, which I understand is a big growth area for them. They show an Indian founder who basically says, I just couldn't type and I now use Wispr Flow. If you order clothes online, here's a founder that uses Wispr Flow. He founded one of the biggest online e-com companies in India. So a lot of these seem to be targeted towards India. So, which is another good thing, which is they seem to have very clear geo-targeted ads, which is great, And again, this also shows the founder who is one of India's biggest e-com founders and who uses Wispr Flow now. Now, this is what they're testing, and I showed you what their biggest top performers are. Now, what should they do? How can they 2x their creative-led growth? Let's get into this, right? The TLDR is that a lot of what they're testing seem relatively ad hoc, at least for somebody looking at it from the outside. They don't seem to be building on what's really working. They don't seem to be building as much on the user's lived emotional experience, which they can discover using user reviews. So let me get into what I would recommend for them. So really, as I said, the number one would be, can you widen a proven winner? If something's performing really well, how can you widen it, right? So can you build on something that's winning? You could basically have the same ad go to a different audience, go to different emotions, different contexts, different hooks, or different formats. I would start with hooks and formats because those are the easiest reskins while maintaining the essence of what's winning. So you have one voice, every AI. This is your proven ad with the highest number of impressions. You could use different headlines. Stop retyping into seven tools. Use alternate layouts. Use grid infographics, flowcharts with the same headline. And alternately, have headlines that reflect the lived experience of every user. Like I said, one would be stop retyping, but also would be, an AI that finally gets your name right in every single tool. The next one would, again, it's the workflow demo. I would also start by showing the screen of Wispr Flow on the Wispr Flow interface, because right now in the workflow demo, you actually see the app downstream in the video. You don't see it first up. I would try to show the app really on the first frame and the first screen, because that's when most of the users catch it. With the founder story, keep the same founder story and use different hooks, different visual hooks. Again, show the product experience first up. I think that could be a great opportunity. Recommendation 2 is adjacent extensions. Now, take the same proven mechanic, have it be one step removed. So you can speak to writers, students, marketers, other demographics, while maintaining the narrative spine of the high performers. Next would be show new contexts, both for the display ads and the videos. You can show, hey, here are the tools where I use this, right? Here's how I type email every day. Here's my week in Notion. Here's me doing my project management in Trello or Asana. And again, with the founder video, you can show different founder stories, how I get more done, how I raise funding, how I work across different time zones. And these are our different user stories, which are one step removed from the high performer, but is an extension of your ad. Now you can see here, right? So this alone should be the vast majority of their testing. And you can see they're not really leaning into what's working in their tests at this point of time. And there is a time and place for new ideas, but I think there is also a structure that they need to have the new ideas follow. And here are what some of the new idea directions are that I would recommend. Again, these are right out of their reviews. When you want to understand what new directions you want to explore, get into their reviews. Right? So number one would be hand surgery, tendinitis, ADHD, dyslexia. These are people who really need this, right? So someone's like, hey, I have tendinitis. My doctor said, go easy on typing. That's a big use case. And I can tell you that was one of my use cases when I had tendinitis a year or so ago. Accuracy as proof, right? Thick accent, a non-Western culture name, and it gets those names right. Again, email inbox log. Again, these are right out of their reviews. Speak your own language. You don't have to talk just in English. Can you talk in Hindi, Serbian, whatever language you want to talk in, and how it's better than any other voice dictation tool. You talk about comparables, and I think that's really how you want to look at this. Recommendation number 4 is to get into emotional specifics in every single one of their ads, because when you say something like one voice every AI, that sounds like a billboard. It's something which we call a billboard test on our team, because if it belongs on a billboard, it speaks to everyone and no one. And you really want to have an emotional reality to your ads. And here's the framework we look at internally for making sure every ad is emotionally grounded. Enemy, dream, and bridge. You want to talk through the enemy. What is the enemy of the user, right? It's voice tools that butcher your words, Siri mangles your name, and you're just deciding to give up on dictation and just type instead. And really, you want to drill down on the enemy in your hooks, in your headlines, in your ads. The dream, it is you being able to talk in Hindi, in Spanish, and Italian with no errors. This is magic. And you want to paint a picture of the dream. You want to talk about the bridge, about how Wispr does it. It doesn't have to be a technical explanation. It listens to all your past transcripts and learns how you speak and cleans up as you speak. That's really how it works. And that, I think, is the big foundation underlying all of this. So if I had to summarize, the big ones would be build on winners, change headlines, change layouts, build on winners first, extend concepts that are adjacent to winners, open new lanes, sell the emotional reality in every single ad that you make. And if they do these, I'm very, very confident with their existing weekly process, with the discipline of killing ads, they will be able to 2x their creative-led growth. Yep. And if you would like to explore similar deconstruction or analysis of your own ads, or if you'd like for us to build ads like these for your own product, hit me up, hi@rocketship.hq.com, shamant@rocketship.hq.com. Look at our website if you'd like to. Thank you.